Okay, so today we're going to start a new unit. It's called Energizing Everything, and we're going to learn all about energy. So by the end of the unit, you'll be able to tell me what is energy, how is it transferred, and then how can it be used to solve a problem. So what do you think energy is? Like think about like running, you use energy when you run or jump or move your hands, you're using energy. Do you think a car uses energy? Yeah. So what do you think energy might be, or what might be a good definition? How about, so it's, energy is the ability to do work. So I'll write that on here, that way y'all can remember it. And then it also is how things change and how they move. So like if a ball was rolling, what do you think it has to have to roll? Energy, yeah.
I was a bit skeptical. I thought there is no way that this thing is going to cook a steak the way that I can cook one on my outdoor grill, that edge to edge, even doneness that I'm looking for. The very first steak I made, it was just terrific. The sear was perfect, the temperature was great. This one just came off the food grill. This is a ribeye. When I look at this, I'm a steak guy. I can't believe it.
Okay, so we're going to watch this really, really cool video. I think it's one of the coolest videos I've ever seen. And then it has a lot of energy in it. So we're going to talk about how it uses energy. Alright, so what are some things that you saw, or what did you see that was happening? Some actions that were happening in the video. What about, was everything going one speed? Was it all the same speed? What was it doing?
Getting faster.
Some things were faster, yeah, and then sometimes it just stopped, right? So, I'll just put faster and slower. And then, how about, I'm trying to think of some different things. So, what if, do you think that if just one thing messed up, would it all still work, do you think? Or would it, no? So, what about, what are some, I don't know what the coolest things you are, or that you saw that you remembered. What were some really cool things? What about at the end? What happens at the end? Yeah, splattered by paint. I thought that was pretty cool. So we'll put it. So which objects were moving the fastest, do you think? The big ones or the small ones? Do you remember? No? Okay. So now we're going to watch it again, and then after that we're going to try, while you're watching it, think of how can you explain what's happening. So like, why were things moving faster and then slower, or slower and then faster? And then think of how it kept going, like, because it always kept going. It never really completely stopped. So try to think of why you think that's happening. How could it, think of how energy could go with that, why it's still moving. So why do you think, so we talked about how it never stops moving. So why do you think that it never stops moving? How do you think it just keeps on going and going and going?
Because of energy.
Yeah, energy. Because do you think there's a lot of energy in this machine? Oh, and also something that I didn't mention after the video is it's called a Rube Goldberg machine. Have you ever heard of that? Yeah, it's kind of a weird name, but it is, so one of those machines is when you have a lot of, like a really complex or really complicated machine, has a lot of different things in it just to complete a simple task. Like at the end, all they were trying to do was spray those people with paint, and they used all that stuff to do that. Okay, so energy is the reason the machine keeps going. And then, so why do you think that some objects were moving slower and some were faster? So, yeah, some might be heavier. So do you think heavier objects have more energy or less energy? More, good. So I'll put heavy equals faster equals more energy. And so so look at this, how is energy transferred? Do you think that energy was being transferred from one object to another throughout the machine? Okay, how, so all right, energy being transferred. And then we'll say how over here. So how do you think it was being transferred?
One object hit the next object.
Yeah. So objects hitting each other or touching or through force, like they were. So if they're touching or hitting each other, then that's through force. And so that kind of energy is called mechanical energy. So there's a bunch of different kinds of energy, but this is one way it can be transferred. And throughout the unit, we'll talk about more types of energy. Okay, so now we're going to watch it one more time, and then while you're watching it this time, think of what you're wondering. What questions do you have about the video? Okay, so last section. So after watching it that time, what are some questions that you have? How about you each do 2 questions? Mason, you can go first. And Dylan.
How many tries did it take them to figure out?
How many tries? Okay. Dylan?
How long it took them to make it?
How long? Okay. Mason?
What was the creator?
Who is the creator? Okay. And this video, it's actually a music video from a band called OK Go, but still, I don't. They probably didn't create it all on their own. Dylan, one more. You don't know another? What about how does it stop, or how does it start moving? Do you think?
With a big ball.
Yeah, the big ball. And what does the big ball have?
Energy?
Energy, yeah. So it just keeps moving through energy the whole time. Okay, so now I'm going to give you something that's called a conceptual model. Have you ever heard of that before? No? Okay, well, it's something that scientists use. It's a drawing of like what they're going to do. So maybe they used one of these before they created this. And this is just the first 30 seconds of it. So it's really simple. It's crazy that this much happens just in 30 seconds. So, and then I want you to write, or you can use arrows. I'll show you an example, or I'll give you an example. So use arrows to show what's happening on here, and like they can go anyway. And then you can use other symbols too. So like if you had, if you wanted to say that this ball rolled, maybe you could do like that symbol. And then down here you would write it in the key. So you could do that, and it equals roll. Just like that. And I'll give you like 5 minutes, and then we'll share. And you can do them, if you would rather work together, then you can do that too, okay? But you both have to participate if you work together. Okay, so did the conceptual model, did it help you to really think about what was happening, like things that you couldn't see? It helps, right? Yeah. So do you think that they might have used one before they made this machine?
Yeah.
Probably so. So Mason, what did you say that happened with your symbols?
You push the dominoes and it pushes that over, and then that moves and the car hits the ball, and then that pushes that over, and then the hand hits the button, and then the speaker turns on, and then the ball rolls down and goes through.
Okay, good. And so we'll add more to it throughout the unit as we learn more about energy. So now I want you to flip over your papers, and then number 1 and 2. And then write 2 things down that you learned about energy today. And then I'll have each of you share one thing. So we learned what is energy, and then how is it transferred? How many ways can it be transferred in just one way, or okay. So Mason, what was one thing that you learned about energy today?
Energy passes through one object to another.
Good. And do you remember what that was called? What kind of energy it was called?
How it transfers.
It's called mechanical energy. Yeah. And there's different kinds of energy, so we'll learn more about those later. And Dylan, what was one thing that you learned?
That's how stuff works.
How stuff works. Yeah, energy makes things work. So why do you think that energy is important? What if we didn't have energy?
You couldn't do that much stuff.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to do anything. You wouldn't be able to drive your car. You wouldn't be able to walk. There wouldn't be any inventions. Probably wouldn't have electricity. A lot of stuff. So the world really wouldn't work at all without energy. So thank y'all so much for participating in my lesson today. And maybe we can learn enough about energy in this unit that you can build your own Rube Goldberg machine at the end. Sounds fun, huh?